What up, my guys? Welcome to another show, man. It's NBA Talk with Jay. This is what we do. Second show of the day and three free pick videos posted on the site. Always trying to get some cash. I'm your host, Jay Money. As you know, it's Monday, guys. Money making Monday. So that means we got our guy Rob Veno here with us from Wager Talk. Rob, how you doing, my brother? One of the hottest cappers over there at Wager Talk as well. Rob, how you doing, my brother?
Yeah, we're doing good, buddy. It's been pretty successful the last couple of weeks, solid at least. I could go back even about a month right now where it's been good, all sports wise. College football's been great. I have to, if I were to split up, it's been great. The NFL's been great. NBA had through the month of November, it got hotter. We struggled a little bit October, Jay, and early November. But now I think we're seeing some patterns. It's gotten way better. So, yeah, I've got nothing to complain about over here. It's not raining. The sun's out. It's good.
Yeah, no complaints from me as well, man. We trying to get some cash. Yeah, it's not raining where I'm at is either, man. But let's talk about some games here, guys. Like I say, always trying to cash. It's all business here every day on the show. Please hit the like button, subscribe, and retweet as well if you can. If you're watching on, if you have social media, guys. First game up. Let's go over here to the streets of Orlando here, Rob. We have the Magic here getting 9.5 points at the house versus the Milwaukee Bucks here. Obviously, they have Chris Middleton back, trying to get him filling things out. Obviously, you have the much better offensive team here in the Bucks, but the Magic do have some length to go up against them. They've lost 8 straight games. I don't really know what to do with this game. I guess it's all about motivation here, Rob. Do you think the Bucks will be motivated in this game?
Well, I would say yes, simply just based on rest factor because you gave Giannis the night off the other night. Like you said, Middleton's coming back. Drew Holiday had the night off the other night. So these guys should be ready, Jay, and it is important to have some length when you're going to play against Milwaukee. Bobby Portis has shown pretty well the last week or so. We're seeing him put together some nice stat lines recently. So, yeah, the length is important. The problem for Orlando is a lot of that length has been hurt, whether it be Wendell Carter Jr., whether it be Mo Bamba. They don't lack for an abundance of length, but a couple of their key guys haven't played in recent games and likely not to go here. So, if we look at guard play, not necessarily sure I like what the Magic are running out there for guards either. This, to me, Jay, this is the most injured team as far as key personnel goes in the NBA right now. I mean, I know somebody could argue me, Paul George, Kawhi, Luke Kennard. I feel like LA has a deeper roster. For Orlando, the guys that have been just out of the lineup, Suggs and all the guards. It's been crazy. Markelle Fultz has come back, but we can't expect too much out of him. I think overall, Orlando at this point in time, just a poor shooting team. I would probably lean towards Milwaukee with the Stars getting more than their share of rest prior to this game.
Yeah, that's a good point. They're definitely coming in here rested. No real look ahead. They should smoke them with ease. I always say I worry about motivation here, but this is the Eastern Conference team. Obviously, they could smack them with ease. They could really come out here and play half-ass and probably still win by double digits. Me personally, I always worry about going against a team that's lost 8 straight. You never really know when they're going to give that full effort and try to get their win. Obviously, these guys are professionals. They don't like losing forever. So, team on an 8-game losing streak, I do lean Magic, but I mean, I'm not betting this game. So, I mean, just take it for what it's worth, man. Let's go over here to the streets of Charlotte here, guys. We have the Hornets here getting 4 points at the house versus the Clippers here, Rob. This line was at 1.5, 2.5 last night, steamed up. Maybe some speculation that Paul George and Kawhi Leonard will come back here. The Clippers definitely need them here. How you think the Hornets look here, Rob? It seems like they're going downhill here.
Yeah, I tell you, it's only questionable tags next to all these guys' names, but it does appear like you say. I'm not sure because you and I know that this money moves off of just questionable. You don't have to be in. You don't have to be out. You just have to have that little bit of doubt, and they'll push the number. And if they don't play, they'll come back the other way. It really is crazy trying to follow NBA numbers without a true source of information minute by minute of who's going to go, who's not. Let's assume that Paul George and Kawhi and Luke Kennard come back, or 2 of the 3 come back and face up against Charlotte. It should be a good night for the Clippers if that's the case. Problem is, when we tape this show, we don't know that for a fact. I think it's a contrast in styles because Charlotte wants to get up and down, and the Clippers, we know, play very methodical. They'll take their time. But I do think, Jay, that when you watch them and they don't have Kawhi and Paul George on the floor, they're more susceptible to just up and going 94 feet with the other team. Reggie Jackson doesn't really slow down for much. Norman Powell's a big out here too. It's hard to make a decision with all those bodies not in there. I would say I like Charlotte if a lot of those guys don't play, but if they do, I don't like Charlotte anymore. So again, tough game to call. I do think there could be some play toward the over here if in fact Kawhi and Paul George don't play in this game, because I've seen a couple of Clipper games without them, and they do like to go a little bit more pace-wise without those guys on the floor.
Yeah, no, that's a good point there. Yeah, I do think they'll come back here. They were really close to coming back last game. It was a super early start, though, Rob. That's why I think it kind of threw them off and they didn't come back. But they did just go through a practice last Friday, probably been practicing the past few days. So with them having the questionable tag here, second game in a row, questionable tag. Remember, last game they were ruled out. I do expect them to come back here. This is a team, and you just look at it as well. So this is why I was looking at it, Rob. The next two games they have, I believe it's like a back-to-back Magic and Heat. And they're not going to play back-to-back. So if they want to get a game before your belt, before they play the Heat, you want to play this game, sit out versus the Magic, then play on the back-to-back versus Miami. So that's what I think will happen. Obviously, kind of have to speculate what's going to happen. But I must say, over the past 2 to 3 years, I've somewhat kind of gotten good at trying to speculate when these guys are going to come in or sit out. So that's exactly what I think will happen. PG and Kawhi come back here, sit out versus Orlando, and then play versus Miami. Nothing's guaranteed, but I did hop on the Clippers last night, minus the 2.5. Shout out to everybody that checked out that video, my guys. Still at 4. Like I say, maybe you want to wait for the injury news and try. You have to be quick. You have probably maybe 30 seconds to a minute. I'd say 20 to 30. I'd say 30 minutes, 30 seconds to a minute, Rob. One flat minute to get on it before they take it down, depending on what book. But try to stay signed in. It's going to come, probably going to be game time call. But I like the Clippers in that one, my guys. Let's go over here to the streets of Toronto here, guys. We have the Raptors laying a point versus the Boston Celtics. Maybe first time all year, Celtics being the underdog here. Some people are going to absolutely love this one, Rob. You like anything here? You think the Celtics can keep it going here on the road, my guy?
I like their offense in this one, Jay. And I think to that point, it's a back-to-back situation for the Celtics after a really tough game with Brooklyn last night. The separation didn't really occur until late in the fourth, right? Boston broke it open late. And therefore, there's been a lot of instances where we haven't seen Celtic defense in favorable situations. So put them in a non-favorable situation against a team that can shoot, against a team that is getting healthier by the second. And I think they'll give up points as well. So I'm on the Celtic over train here. They have provided a lot of cash for a lot of games if you're playing overs with them. Shooting percentages have been wild overall this season, but the last 2 games not good for Boston. And as the listeners here know, and as you know, Jay, you talk to me enough, I do like bounce back. I like when you to either regress or get back to the norm, the average. And I think Boston shooting will do that here. It was a rough shooting night last night. I don't think Jason Tatum had much in the way of offense, point production-wise, until late in the fourth. All of a sudden, he showed up with 29 points and 11 boards. I think they're going to score their share here. Now there's injury news that we got before we came on air here. You're going to see Marcus Smart, good news. Going to see, maybe see Malcolm Brogdon, maybe not. But it's interesting the weapons they found on the bench, Jay. I mean, coming into the season, when we previewed, we weren't talking much about Sam Hauser's ability to shoot threes. Guess what? Sam Hauser, I remember from college, he can shoot threes, but he was buried on the Boston bench. The pace that they've chosen to play at really just gives you, if you're an over player, it gives you opportunities and chances to score points more than norm. And I expect Toronto to shoot the ball well against them, again, because I think the Celtic defense might be a little bit tired. If you're going to give up on one end in a back-to-back, it would be on that end. So give me over. I like first half at 117. I like full game at 227.5. If you ask me to give you a preference, probably first half 117.
Yeah, that's a good point there, Rob. And I'm hoping that the Raptors can score. I need the Raptors to win this game, guys. Hopped on them last night, plus the 1.5. I still like them, -1 money line, whatever. I like the Raptors to win this game. I think the Celtics being dogs here is very telling. I think a lot of people look at this game, see, oh, the Celtics are balling, they're juggernauts, they smashing it. Like when I'm doing the show or the earlier show, Rob, everyone's in the chat, man. The Celtics been smashing, man. I can't bet against them, so and that's good. I'm glad you're saying that. I mean, I don't mind taking them in this spot. The Raptors, they ball out at the house, and they really ball out at the house versus these top tier teams as well. They're 9-2 straight up here at the house this season. This is where you'd like to back the Raptors, and it's crazy because they're actually kind of a fade on the road. They don't play nowhere near as good on the road, but at the house, I don't know what it is, home cooking or what. But they really start to get it going. I think Van Fleet will look a lot better tonight, and the Raptors have the size and the length to defend the Celtics as well. I think that's the key thing here. And like I say, the new J Money angle, we're going with the sticky defense with the rest advantage here. You have a lot more energy to give to the defensive end. And one thing that I've noticed how you can beat the Celtics, remember why they're still without Robert Williams, it hadn't mattered because they're running and gunning, but you can get easy baskets on the inside in the paint versus the Celtics. It's how you beat this team. I think the Heat laid out the blueprint right there. Go at whoever their center is, go at them, continuously go at them, get them in foul trouble, regardless of it. You can get whatever you want inside the paint. So I see OG, Siakam, Scotty Barnes. I see them driving to the paint and doing what they do mid-range in the paint all night long. Give me the Raptors in this one, my guys. Official play. We'll go Raptors money line, even though if you caught the video last night, we hopped on at plus 1.5, my guys. Let's go over here to the streets of Memphis here, Rob. We have the Grizzlies here laying a point and a half here versus the Miami Heat. Grizzlies starting to get hot, sitting at 14-9 on the season here, Rob. But I do think that, like I say, kind of have to speculate. First game of back-to-back for Triple J, his first back-to-back of the season since coming back. I don't see why they would play him out there, Rob. But even if he does play, I don't care. I think the Heat are due to stack up some wins here, Rob. What do you think happens here?
I think that way too. I think, Miami is another one. Mm-hmm. Very, very injury riddled. Prior to last week, they got a bunch of guys. That second Boston game, they basically had their team out there. Jimmy Butler, he played exceptionally well, Jay. For first game back in quite some time, he looked really good in that game. Tyler Hero shot well in one of those two games. And when they have all their pieces together, they're still a formidable team in the Eastern Conference. It's just that so often their lineup is so interchangeable. I mean, I don't know how many different starting lineups they've had this season, but it's tough to play that way. Now, you were talking about first of back-to-backs for Memphis, first of back-to-backs for Miami here. And, we see these question marks next to Gabe Vincent, next to Jimmy Butler. Which one of these two, if he's not going to play both, is Jimmy going to get involved in? I'd probably think it's the Memphis game right here, and they would rest against Detroit. If that assumption is right, then I like Miami here. I just think Miami's got a little bit more depth than what Memphis has at this current point in time. And I think that Miami's got the toughness that it takes to slow Memphis down a little bit. They can certainly defend against Ja. And then the kicker for me, Jay, is that Miami has the three-point shooters out on the floor now. We talked last year about how many of these guys shoot 35, 36% or better from three. And there's a whole host of them. And it looks like they're all going to be out on the floor tonight to me. So even if it comes to a scoring match, I know generally people think, oh, it's Miami, it's going to be defensive-minded, lower scoring. But even if it comes to a higher scoring match, you'd be surprised the last 2 years how many Miami games go over the total because they're just priced as a defensive team. It happened last week against Boston in game one of that series. In fact, it happened in both because the second one went overtime. I think Miami's the winner here, whether it's slow pace, fast pace. I think Miami's very flexible. So give me the Heat here to, as you said, start stacking some wins.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I was saying, I didn't mean first of back-to-back for the Grizzlies. It's the first back-to-back for Triple J so far on the season. That's what I was saying. The Grizzlies, they're on the second half. They're on a second of back-to-backs. They play. It's crazy because they played Detroit yesterday, and then the Heat will fly home to play them tomorrow. So, but yeah, I guess that in theory, like if the Heat already beat the Pistons a couple of times, they beat them the past few times, regardless of it, but they've lost 4 out of the last 5 to the Grizzlies. I feel like if you want to like if you want to have a measuring stick type of game, you want to have a measuring stick type of game versus the Grizzlies, not really the Pistons, in my opinion. So but obviously the Pistons are the Eastern Conference team, not necessarily in contention though. I still think the Heat take this game more serious. They've talked about it. They want to stack up wins. They're finally healthy now as well. They are 4-1 straight up last 5 games as well. So I always tell people, bet whatever you absolutely love. If you like the Grizzlies here, bet the Grizzlies here. But I'm on the Heat here. We hopped on them last night. Everybody that watched the videos, +2.5. Now they're down to +1. I like the line move, guys. I agree with it. Like, I need the Heat here to win this game for me, my guys. That's what I need, man. Rob, any more thoughts on this game? What did you say you thought about the total in this one?
I think Miami could play it either way, Jay. Now, Memphis is going to run, so it is the second of back-to-back, but I think Miami could play it either way. I'm not involved in it. I did play Miami already, so I've got side, not total. I want to ask you this, though. Let's just play theoreticals for a minute. Nothing to do with games, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot or anything here. I just want to get your thoughts on what do you think, because I can never get a firm gauge on this from team to team. Do you have a number in your mind when you're going over games where you think that bookmakers should add or subtract for first or how about second of back-to-backs? How much do you think the line is padded in the second of back-to-backs either way? 1 point, 2 point, 3 points are different.
I think
on every team.
At the very least, it's 2 points. It's definitely built into the spread, though, Rob. That's for damn sure. It's definitely built into the spread. That's why, I mean, I understand, like, sometimes some people like to look at just the lines and go off that, and I always tell them sometimes there's a lot of things that are built into the line. You see what I'm saying? So you have to look at why it's in there. But I definitely think it's built into the spread. But I'm not. I think the wrong team is favored here. I think the Heat should be favored here. I know that Jimmy Butler is questionable. If he does end up playing, I do think you'll see the Heat flip to the favorites here if they get their guy, if they have everyone they played versus Boston last game, guys. So let's see what happens in this one. Let's get some cash, my guys. But yeah, that's it for me in that one, Rob. Now let's go last game up. Let's go over here to the streets of Dallas here. We have the Mavs laying 3 points at the house versus the Suns here. Rob, in theory, you have a same season revenge spot for the Mavs. The Suns did get kicked out versus the Mavs last year in the playoffs. So how are we looking at this game?
Well, I looked at Dallas, Jay, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but I seem to like the Mavs, and it's more situational than it is players on the floor. Now, first of all, let's say this. I'm going to guess, or I did guess already because I have Dallas, that Christian Wood will play. They won big without him in a day game in Madison Square Garden on Saturday. I mean, they shot really well. The Mavericks did. But there comes a point, Jay, where the Mavs were doing nothing but racking up against the spread loss after loss after loss. And it's not because they're that bad. It's because maybe they were just a little overpriced, or maybe they were having first 15 games getting everything gelled together. It is a little bit of a different lineup. But at some point in time, they're going to start putting together wins. That game the other day, to me, Saturday, was a trigger game. They did it without Wood. And I'm going to say this. Again, it could be wrong, but it's my observation that when they inserted Tim Hardaway Jr. back into the starting lineup, things changed. Tim Hardaway Jr., well, you're a Dallas Maverick fan. He couldn't make a three whatsoever for the first however many games. And then Jason Kidd went to, let's try a little lineup change here. And all of a sudden, Tim Hardaway on the floor as a starter with Luka creating for him. The threes have been falling. His point totals are everything about Tim Hardaway's game Tim Hardaway Jr.'s game looks like it did pre-injury. I like that. I like the offensive burst he's given the team. Let's bring Reggie Bullock off the bench the way it should be, 3 and D. And I think it's more, like I said to you to start this whole thing, it's more situational. But I just feel like Jason Kidd might have found the lineup here that's going to produce enough offense and enough bench offense and defense to put the Mavs on a winning streak. So we talked about Miami stacking up wins. I just feel the same way about Dallas. I have Dallas in this game. I like them.
That's a good point. And you know what? Mavs cash on Mondays as well with Rob. I hadn't taken this game. It's down from 3.5 to 3. You do have the Suns on the back-to-back, but they didn't really play last night, right? I mean, they smoked the Spurs by basically 40 points in that game. Right. So, but you do have the Mavs. They play a game tomorrow in Denver. Now it's just a tricky game for me, man. I really do feel like it's a toss-up game, but I lean Mavs here. The Mavs the only way I could look here. Now, because this is the way I look at it, Rob. Now, they did kick the Suns out of the playoffs, but the playoff, I mean, the Suns in theory theory, already kind of got playoff revenge by winning 107-105 early this season. But we got to remember, the Mavs were up by double digits, up by close to 20 points in the first half of that game as well. Suns had to come all the way back to win. So I say that because the Suns own the Mavs for so long. At some point, just like what you're saying, Rob, with the Mavs losing for so long, at some point, just the law of averages, you're due to own them now. So now the Mavs may have figured out this Suns team. Maybe they match up well versus them now. So they've covered 3 straight and 5 of the last 6 versus the Suns as well, Rob. The home team is 7-1 straight up last 8 games and 8-2 straight up last 8 games, last 10. So I lean Mavs here. I might join you here. It's not one of my strongest picks of the day, but they do have the rest advantage. They do have the home court advantage of needing to stack up some wins here. And I like the point, like you said, if they figured out their lineup, watch out, man, because we know the Mavs are a good team that just hadn't really figured it out. And Tim Hardaway Jr. can be somewhat like that Jalen Brunson, another ball handler for him. That's some good looks there, Rob. I definitely lean the Mavs there with you, my brother. Now let's get over here to some free picks, Rob. Anything you liking on the card, and let them know how well you've been doing over at Wager Talk, my brother.
Yeah, we'll talk about that real quick first here, Jay, because every time I come on Monday, it just happens to be Wager Talk's $9 Monday. So if you're watching the show and if you're a little bit curious and want to try out a handicapper, myself included, over at wagertalk.com, you can get a play for $9 today. It'll give you a pretty good gauge on how we look at things. But every Monday is that way. So if you're not currently a member, I'd encourage it because it's free. Just go over to wagertalk.com, drop in your email address, and you'll have full access to all the video content that Wager Talk provides every single day. And it's every sport, guys. They handicap every single game, every single sport. No matter what you like, you're going to find a video analysis on that particular game. You can also get selection packages, mine included. I am up right now with a best bet in the NBA for $9 Monday over at wagertalk.com. So you can get that. And we've been running hot, as Jay said, number 1 at Wager Talk over the last 3 days, number 1 at Wager Talk over the last 7 days, number 1 at Wager Talk over the last 30 days, all sports. So that's all sports combined, not one in every single sport. We've been really hot in college football and NFL and NBA as well. So go ahead over there, wagertalk.com. If I want to get the free picks here, I'm going to give you 2, Jay, for purposes of the show here. And as we say on the J Money Show, they're official. First off, what we just talked about, Dallas. I like Dallas. I think that they found something with that lineup. And I don't know that every single night Devin Booker can come out. You know, they've got injuries. That's still, at some point against a good team, they catch up to you. And I looked at the last 6 teams Phoenix has played, and they're all poor to below average to poor defenses. So I think Dallas is a pretty good defense. I'm going to play the Mavs. The other game we didn't talk about, but I'll leave here as a free play, again, official. I like Atlanta OKC under the numbers simply because of where the numbers. It's 236.5 total. And I know Oklahoma City's been getting, been involved in a lot of high scoring games, but you go back the last 5 and 3 of the 5 haven't hit this. These numbers are just getting increasingly larger and larger and larger. Trae Young comes back tonight off of the bum shoulder. How good is he going to be? He has been shooting the 3 real well over the course of the last 3 weeks or so. His overall statistics have been lower. So I think that, Atlanta's not a pace team. I think we often confuse Atlanta with this up and down rapid fire team. They're really not. And with their 2 starting forwards out, it takes away a lot of offense from this team. You can't have no DeAndre Hunter. You can't have no John Collins and a hurt Trae Young. I think 236.5 is way, way too much, guys. And it was 232.5 prior to Young being announced. And then they bumped it 4 points for him being in. I'll take my chances here with under Oklahoma City, Atlanta. That's 236.5, and I'll take my chances with Dallas minus the 3.
Yeah, I like the picks, man. I like the picks. And you can even get 237 if you like that under in the Hawks and Thunder game as well. So I appreciate the looks, Rob. He's liking the under in the Hawks and Thunder game, and he's liking the Mavs minus 3. Couldn't talk you off either one of those. For me, guys, I'm on the Heat money line, basically. +1.5, +1. Hop on them +2.5 and money line last night. Also on the Raptors money line as well. I need them to win. And also I hopped on the, like I say, I'll be honest, I'm not on Clippers -4. I do fully expect Paul George and Kawhi to come to be in there. If you also agree with it, I do think the line closed at -7. So it's up to you guys. I encourage you, hit the like button. Also hit the notifications button as well. That way you know whenever I'm posting the free peek videos overnight, and you get notified when I'm doing these free shows. I'm doing these live shows, my guys. So appreciate everybody for tuning in. You go check out the website if you'd like to grab a shirt and show support to the channel. jmoneyismoney.com. Everything is still $10 off over there on the site. Jay and Shark shirts only $15. Smack City shirts, Us Against the Bookies, and Let's Get Some Cash. All $10 off and come with a free pair of glasses, my guys. So the J Money approved shades, man. We will win, my guys. It's Us Against the Bookies. Let's get some cash. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Go follow us on Twitter at JMoney'sMoney, at Rob Veno Sports. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notifications bell as well. Let's cash. We out, baby.